Hello, my friends, and welcome to Vedic Astrology. So, we are moving 2-3 playlists together. Okay, we are talking about Parivartan Yoga. In one playlist of Parivartan Yoga, we are talking about uh, planets in different houses. So, this is the third thing we are doing it together is lagnas. Traditionally, people only know about one ascendant, that is your Rashi Lagna. The first house, that is the rising sign when you are born, is called your ascendant, that is your Lagna. So, basic definition of Lagna is the sign which is on the horizon while you are taking birth. So, the sign which is on the horizon becomes your first house, and that sign is called your ascendant, that is your rising sign. That is why it is called the rising sign, because that sign is rising on the horizon at the time of your birth. Getting my point? So the rising sign is the natural ascendant or the Rashi Lagna. Now what does it signify? The Rashi Lagna signifies everything about your nature, your mind. Okay, the first house of your Rashi Lagna is all about your head, your mind. Okay, but apart from Rashi Lagna, there are few more methods from which we look at a certain chart. Okay, so in the Rashi chart, we consider the starting point as our rising sign, as the Rashi Lagna. The lord of that house is called Lagnesh. Okay, but there are a few more different types of lagnas too, from which we technically start the chart from. Okay, say we see the rising sign is say Libra, so Libra becomes our first house, and that is our Lagnesh. Now that Lagnesh is the typical traditional first house of the Rashi chart. Apart from the normal lagna, there are also different kinds of lagnas, and from that we are going to take Arudha Lagna as our today's subject. Like there are different lagnas like Arudha Lagna, Hindu Lagna, Bhrigu Lagna. Okay, so we'll come to different lagnas one by one, but today we are going to talk about Arudha Lagna. Now, the normal lagna is all about your idealistic image. Okay, ideally what you are from beneath, that is your Arudha Lagna. But let's take a broader look. Okay, when we take a broader look, we understand that even though, let's say, your ascendant is Libra, and when someone watches you, people naturally don't show their Libra ascendant signs. Okay, so why does it seem that when a person is a Libra ascendant from beneath, the image that the opposite person or the society creates is not as same as the Libra Lagna? So the basic method and the basic reason which developed in understanding astrology more and more advanced is astrology and the Rashi chart, the Lagna chart could define the characteristics of person which were typically into them but not seen. Okay, that's why astrology got more into the psychological subject, because it used to teach people what they are from beneath, even though they are hiding that original personality. Okay, so there are many different manner in which we decode the chart. Now talking about Arudha Lagna, Arudha is itself which means the image. Okay, the meaning of Arudha is the image that is perceived to the society or the opposite person while you meet them. You usually see that when you meet a person, the person looks totally different. Okay, they might be showing a different characteristics and image, but as and when you know the person deeply, you see a lot of characteristics which were hidden at the basic level, and then you tend to see them in depth afterwards. So the personality you just perceive about a person is seen from the Arudha Lagna. Okay, and the basic personality the person is idealizing himself into is seen from the first house of the Rashi Lagna. When you want to see the personality of the person inside his head, okay, his mental personality, you take moon as the first house. Wherever the moon is situated, you make it house number 1, and that is the moon chart. From that you see the mental personality of the person. When you want to check about soul level personality, okay, what you do, you take sun, wherever sun is placing, you take that house as the first house and make the chart again. That chart is going to give the soul level personality of the person. Getting my point? So there are many variations we can do as we go further in astrology to see specifications hidden deeply inside, characteristics inside that person, specifications inside it. Okay, so let's say moon is in 7th house, and then you make 7th house as the first house and rearranged all the planets. Now that chart which you attain is the mental map of that person, how the person thinks, how he is mentally, what is the psychological way of his thinking. Okay, when you take Jupiter as the center, make Jupiter as the first house and rearrange the planets. Now that chart shows the core values of the person. What are the ethics, moralities? Okay, take Sun as the center. Now that chart, after rearranging it, it shows the dignity of the soul, the energy, vitality into the person. Okay. Take Venus. If you take Venus as the first house, you can literally see their emotional quotient, how emotional the person is, what are the emotional strengths and emotional weaknesses. You can see it easily. You make the Venus as the first house, rearrange the planets around it, see where the planets are placed. When you take Venus in house as the first house, and see the 6th, 8th and 12th house would be the weaknesses of the person, emotional weaknesses. You see the 7th house from the Venus, you will see the emotional strength of the person. Okay, so as you go into a big detail, okay, you have to concentrate on each and every planets minutely and make a different chart, taking each planet as the center. Now that is called Graha Arudas. We'll come to the fact later on. But let's just start and understand the concept of Arudas. Whenever you calculate the Aruda itself is the perceived image. Whatever you perceive from the opposite person as you meet them the first time. What does the society perceive from you? It's not about how you are. It's all about how you tend to be in the world of Maya. This is all Maya. Okay. So inside the Maya, what you proclaim to be, that is the Arudha. What you proclaim to be, that is the Arudha. Okay. Now, it's not a tough manner how to calculate Arudha Lagna. It's as simple as you know what. So, Arudha Lagna is, let's say your first house is having the first house lord as Venus. Okay, so you count how many places away Venus is placed. So how many places away Lagnesh is placed from the Lagna. Then you go to that house and move that steps ahead from that house, and again where you reach is your Arudha Lagna. Getting my point? Let's take an example. I've used board for a few instances in between my video today. So let's go to the board today. Okay. I hope everybody can see this. Okay. So let's say you are having Scorpio ascendant. Okay. The Lord of Scorpio is Mars. Right? And Mars is placed in your 12th house. Okay, so what you will do, you will count 12 houses from this house. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, and from that again you will count 12 houses from where your lagnesh is placed. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this house becomes your Arudha Lagna. Okay. Getting my point? You have to count the steps. Arudha Lagna is all about padas. Padas is steps. So padas. First pada is the first step. Sixth pada is the 6 steps. Okay. Let's take one more example. Let's keep the Scorpio ascendant intact. Okay. So let's say now your Mars is not placed in your 12th house. Rather your Mars is placed in the 5th house over here. Okay. So now count how many steps the Lord of Lagna is from Lagna. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 steps, right? So now again you have to count the same number of steps from here, from the same house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this becomes your Arudha Lagna. Getting my thing? Getting it clearly? You have to count how many steps away the Lagnesh is, and then you have to count as many as steps from that house to find a specific house. That specific house becomes the Arudha Lagna. Getting my point? Let's take one more example. Let's say you are not a Scorpio ascendant, rather you are a Cancer ascendant. Okay, so who is the Lord of Cancer? The Lord of Cancer is Moon, and Moon is now placed in the 8th house. Chandrashtami. Moon is placed in the 8th house. Okay, so let's count 8 steps from over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so from Lagna, the Lagna Lord is placed 8 house away. Okay, so again we have to count 8 steps from that house. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so Arudha Lagna will become this. Getting my point? See how many houses away the Lagnesh is. The first house Lord is away how many houses? 8 houses. So from that house again walk 8 steps ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that house, what you get, becomes your Arudha Lagna. Okay, so now rearrange the chart from making this Arudha Lagna as the first house over here. Okay, let's take an example over here, and let's talk about exceptions first of all. Okay, let's say your first house is Leo. Okay, first house is Leo, and the Lord of Leo is Sun, and Sun is placed in your 7th house. Okay, so now calculate 7 places. Okay, the Lagnesh, the first house Lord, is placed 7 places away from the first house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, now again count 7 from that house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what happens? It goes in the first house again. Now there is an exception. If your counting ends in the Kendra, okay, that is in this house, in this house, in this house, and in this house, you do not take that house as Arudha Lagna. Rather, you will count 10 more steps from that house, and wherever it ends, it becomes your Arudha Lagna. Say, this is where your counting ends, so this won't be the Arudha Lagna. This is an exception. If your counting ends on first house, 4th house, 7th house, or 10th house, it will not be your Arudha Lagna. Your Arudha Lagna will be 10 steps ahead. Okay, so count 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this becomes your Arudha Lagna. Getting it? This is an exception only when your Arudha Lagna falls in either first house, 7th house, 4th house, or 10th house. Okay, let's take one more example of the exception. You have, let's say, Taurus ascendant. You are a Taurus ascendant. Venus is placed in the 4th house. Taurus ascendant with Venus placed in the 4th house. So see, we have to count 4 places. Okay, so from ascendant, where is the ascendant lord? First house lord, it is 4 house away. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. You reach the ascendant lord. Now again count 4 steps from it. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Which house did you reach? 7th house. Our exception rule. If your counting ends on either 1, 4, 7 and 10th house, you will again count 10 from it. Okay, count 10 from it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so Arudha Lagna will become the same house. Getting my point? If your counting ends either on the 1st house, 4th house, 7th house or 10th house, you have to count 10 more steps ahead. And wherever you reach, that would be your Arudha Lagna. Right? Let's again take one example. Same chart, but now Venus is placed in the 10th house. So what happens? You count 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You reach the 1st house lord. You understood that it is 10 steps away. Okay. So now again you count 10 from it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Where did you reach? You reached the 7th house. So again, if you reached in the 7th house, 4th house, 1st house or 10th house, what you do? You again count 10. You don't make it Arudha Lagna. So you again count 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So your Arudha Lagna will be house number 4. Getting it? Only when your counting ends in the Kendra, you have to count 10 more steps. Otherwise, the rule is simple. See the 1st house lord, where the 1st house lord is sitting. Okay, and count that much steps ahead. Okay. If your Arudha Lagna is sitting anywhere else, it won't end over here. And it will follow the regular rule. Got it, everyone? See the 1st house lord, see where it is placed. Say if it is placed in the 3rd house. So go there, 1, 2, 3. Okay, it is placed in the 3rd house. So again you have to count 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. So your Arudha will be number 5. If it is placed in say 12th house, you count 12 places. It is sitting in the 12th house. So again from that position you have to count 12 house. Your Arudha Lagna will be 11th house. Getting my point? Only when your counting ends in either the 1st house, 4th house, 7th house or 10th house, you will not take it as the Arudha Lagna. Rather you will count 10 more steps ahead. Okay, let's say your 1st house lord in the 7th house. So you again count 7, you come to the 1st house. Okay, your counting ended at the 1st house. So it is not going to be your Arudha Lagna. Rather you have to count 10 more steps. 10th house will be. Okay, if your lord is sitting in the 10th house, okay, and you count 10 more steps, okay, so it is going to end at 7th house. So 7th house will not be the Arudha Lagna. You have to count 10 more steps and 4th house will be. Getting my point? If it is in the 4th house itself, you count 4 steps ahead. It is going to be 7th house. Again, you came into the 7th house. So it is not going to be Arudha Lagna. You have to count 10 more steps. It is going to be 4th house. If your Lagnesh is placed in the 1st house, okay, over here only. So you count 1. Okay, say you are Gemini ascendant and your Mercury is placed over here. So you count 1. You count 1. Okay. So again you reached in the 1st house. So this won't be a Arudha Lagna. You have to count 10 more steps and you reach to house number 10. So this is going to be your Arudha Lagna. Getting my point? So this was the exception and the calculation about the Arudha Lagna. Now let's come back to our usual understanding. So this is how we calculated our Arudha Lagna. Now we have to make Arudha Lagna as the first house and make a chart again. Okay, so now the chart is going to change completely your chart changed. The first house would be something else, other houses will again be something else. Okay, now from the Arudha Lagna you have to see the new chart. Now let's understand firstly, this Arudha Lagna concept is a Jaimini concept. It is not a Parashar concept. So what happens, after you make a new chart from the Jaimini concept, then you again have to test for all the Parashar rules and you will understand what kind of result it is giving. So let's talk about our viewpoint from the Arudha Lagna. Let's say how many houses would Arudha Lagna contribute in, say, good things, in, say, bad things. Say your Arudha Lagna is in the first house. If your Arudha Lagna is in the first house, which means your perceived image and your internal self is completely resembled. Okay, so you are tend to be similar in nature. For like if someone else is going to see you, or your internal characteristics is, so it means that you are the same person inside and outside. What the other person watches you and what you are both the same things. You are not different from inside. Only when your Arudha Lagna is the first house. Okay, when your Arudha Lagna is in the 7th house, you are completely opposite. What the opposite person watches you, perceives you, is the exactly opposite image of what you are from inside. Okay, when it is your 7th house. When the Arudha Lagna is your 4th house, okay, the opposite person, or it is only your family who is going to understand the inner version of you. Nobody else is going to know who you are from internal. Okay, you will always give a different social personality than your family personality. So if your Arudha Lagna is in the 4th house, only your family people are going to understand you and know you completely from in and out. Nobody except your family would understand you. If your Arudha Lagna is in 10th house, okay, then the image you show to the society is your real actual image. Okay, that which you are from inside is going to show only to the society or the social world, or say your colleagues, your career, wherever you are working. Okay, so when the Arudha Lagna is in the 10th house, your real self is seen to people like your colleagues, or it is seen in your place of work. Okay, now let's see if your Arudha Lagna is in the 2nd house. Okay, if your Arudha Lagna is in the 2nd house, only those people from whom you benefit would see your real image. Okay, so very less people would see your real image. And again, it is going to depend on the Lord of that house, Lord of the Arudha Lagna's house. Either that Lord can decipher your internal characteristics. So if it is your 2nd house and your 2nd house Lord is Moon, then only your mother can decipher your internal characteristics. What you are seen from outside is different, and what you are from inside is only known to your mother. If it is son, it would be your father. So you also have to emphasize on the Lord of the Arudha Lagna. Getting my point? So I think I have some problem in the video over here.